tell them how they can help with your charity and your charity, but it's going to help a lot of deaf people in this country, and it's great to see. Let me ask you both what you learned about yourselves from taking part in Celebrity Apprentice, because it's a brutal competition. It's reality TV at its most savage. No sleep, incredibly hard work, mental challenges, competition with often erratic people. What did you learn about yourselves and your character?
I think, well, coming into the show, I knew that I would try to first raise as much money as I can for my charity, which again, I said, it was Start the Hearing Foundation based in Minnesota. And then I wanted to make sure that all these kids got the hearing aids, kids who can't afford them, whether they're in the United States or in developing countries. So that's the first thing I knew in my head. That was the purpose I came to the show. And as for me as an actor, as an author, as whatever, and being a mom, a wife, I knew all that and bring that skill set. But once the show started, I thought, okay, this also involves working with people. And you have to help them as much as they have to help you. And you have all sorts of different personalities, all sorts of people coming to the table. And I think what I learned about myself is that I never really totally listened to myself so much, focused on myself so much, so intensely, and had an opportunity to look at who I am and why I'm here and why I wanted to do this or why I wanted to listen to this person as I did on the show, and whether this was right or whether this was wrong. This is how I think. And bottom line is I learned that I have become extremely unselfish and that I am extremely willing. It's not about me. Basically, at the end of the day, it's not about me.
You've had a tough life. I mean, I read your book a couple of years ago. You know, in that you detail that a couple of times when you were young, when you were molested, once by a female babysitter, once by a male teacher. You know, you then went into a heavy drugs period, a part of which you subscribed to that period when you were molested. You had a very abusive relationship with William Hurt that you talked about very frankly, a lot of physical violence. You've been through a lot. And I was curious to see, knowing that background to you, how tough you were in this competition, how emotionally strong. If people like Meatloaf were sobbing in vans and stuff, you just kept tough, kept focused. And that surprised and impressed me, given what you'd been through.
All of the things that you've mentioned and that I've gone through has given me a thick skin as an individual. And anything else that might come my way, I mean, if you're speaking about whatever it is, I know exactly what's going out there. It's all there on the table. And whatever happens on this show, I mean, it's like a piece of cake. You can't compare it. Not at all. So I think that's why I grew up. I grew up quite quickly. And I grew up more knowing that it's not about me, I guess, at the end of the day. It's about the deaf kids, and it's about the deaf world. Simple as that. I think that's one advantage that I have.
And John, you've also said the same thing about your charity. It was always for the charity in the back of your mind, and I get that feeling. You know, I went down to San Antonio in Texas and saw these incredibly badly wounded soldiers that I was raising the money for the Intrepid Fallen Heroes Fund. And it's one of the most moving things I've ever done in my life, to actually see the people who would benefit from this fundraising. I needed no more galvanizing to try and win the competition. But I also learned about myself that, you know, when it comes to it, I was incredibly competitive to win that. Forget everything else. I wanted to win. By the end, I've been through so much, and I see it in both of you.
Yeah.
That same thing.
It will push you to new levels of competitiveness. I truly believe that. You know, I want to win this competition. I want that $250,000. I want it. I want to take that check to the kids at St. Jude. I can tell you that I think part of my ability to get this far was the way I was raised. I believe in God, I believe in country, and I believe in kids.
You're son of a preacher.
My dad's a preacher. I grew up in Amarillo, Texas, and West Texas, and you know, we worked and scrapped for everything we had, and hard work and a hard work ethic is how I have been raised my entire life,
and
thanks to my parents.
It's so much so that I read that you have said publicly that you've written songs which your father has deemed potentially offensive, and so you haven't recorded them.
Right. Yeah, I have enough. I respect his opinion. I said, if you think this song is something that is too much and gonna embarrass, you know, you or anyone else, I'll never record it. Absolutely.
Have you been happy?
Respect is something that's missing in this world right now.
I agree with you.
You have to respect.
And you've been very respectful on the show, despite incredible provocation sometimes.
Yeah. You have to have respect in this world. You know, As early as today, I called a lady, yes, ma'am. She said, ma'am, what do you, I said, well, where I come from, we refer to ladies as ma'am. And I can compete all day with Marley, and trust me, I've got hell at my heels. I'm coming at this lady. We're going to battle it out at the table, and somebody's going to emerge victorious. But it has nothing to do with do I respect Marley Madeline. I have mad respect for this woman. And she is a ma'am as far as I'm concerned. This world is too light on respect.
We only have one man in England, the Queen. She's the only lady who is called ma'am. As a little aside to the conversation.
I'll make sure I try not to say that when I visit.
And Molly, I mean, it's interesting. I was reading again this morning about you. One of the more amusing aspects, you found happiness with your husband. You have these 4 children. And yet you've been hit, while you've been doing this show, by a big financial crisis in your life, haven't you?
You know, the financial crisis is what it is. It's funny because, I mean, it's not funny, but one thing I'm glad about is that when I found out that a newspaper decided to poke into my tax issues, and they called me and asked for my response, I said, I know what's going on in my life. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm not able to do at that time. But people somehow thought that I was surprised by it. No, I've made payment plans, and I announced it before they did, and I was glad to take care of the message.
Listen, just to remind people, it's a $50,000 tax bill that you've got behind on your tax. You've had to sell your house. But
I'm paying for it, and I'm keeping my house, and I'm not losing my house, and there's no lien at this point that makes me want to lose a house. The $50,000 certainly is a lot of money, but it compared to a lot of people in the entertainment business who are in millions of dollars of owing money. It's my business, and I chose, and I'm a proud American who is paying it back and made payment plans. Listen, I work my butt off every day throughout my career. It's not easy for work to come to me, and I have to really work, and that's why I'm always going to motivational speeches. That's why I'm having to leave my kids, whether it's their school play, because I have to work. I do have to work, and I'm going to continue to work. But for those Americans, I am paying my taxes, and I am paying my $50,000 back. Don't worry, I'm not going to jail. I'm not losing my house, and my kids and my husband are fine. Thank you very much.
Yay!
Nicely said, but you didn't even say it, really. You just had to give me the gesticulation. I got it.
He had to say it.
We're going to take another short break. When we come back, I want to ask you what you think this will do for your career going forward, because it does have an amazing effect. Look, I'm sitting here.
The world's third largest democracy is on the move.